So today, I was out here, we went to a store, and I found this meal. And it's made by Hageman, a Chinese brand, actually made in Shanghai. And it has a very spicy flavor, that's my guess, as well as this flavor, which I don't know if it's beef, chicken, or whatever. But if you look at the fantastic picture, I almost think it's going to be a fish flavored. But we see that it's 260 grams, and that 260 grams comes out to almost a pound, and it is pretty hefty. And as I was purchasing it, the man in the store said, "Hey, you know what's cool about these is they're self-heating." And I asked him why. He said, "Well, look, you make your ingredients, but it has a heat tab, and you cook it within itself. You don't need a fire, you don't need to cook water or boil anything. You could take this in your backpack and out in the woods or in a car, and as long as you have water, you can cook this meal." So I thought that we should try that out and see if it's good for canoeing, backpacking, or whatever. So let's open this up, and I'm going to take a knife and just kind of pop that open and tear the plastic off, and we'll see what's going on here. So we'll take the label, and the label looks like, oh, see, they even have a peel tab for us. Do you think that was on purpose? I don't know. There we go. So we open the peel tab. We'll save that because it has some important instructions here. Now, I did some prior research, and on this, it talked these warnings, and there was like 8 of them, you see, or 9. And all this has to do with the heating element. So this comes pretty explanatory. We'll get to that in a second. So here we go. So let's open this up. So there seems to be a tab right here and a hole in the top. I'm going to assume that hole is for steam. And maybe here you could put your name if you wanted to make your name. But it just pops up. And look at that. So the first packet I'm going to assume is a flavor oil. That looks pretty good. All right, so I'll put that down. And then this packet, I can't really tell but I'm going to guess just by the base on that, that might be the herb packet of the vegetables. And then we have another packet which feels a little bit grainy and powdery. Maybe this is the flavor packet. So we'll put that down. And this one, it's the mystery. It's liquid, so maybe a soy sauce, maybe something, I don't know. And sweet. They have some chopsticks. And then here are the noodles. Now, I assume the noodles, based on whatever, was going because of the weight. And they are. They seem to be a little bit moist already, like a udon noodle, like a soba noodle. But we don't know how the Chinese treat udon. So, and then we have the inner chamber. So, that, and then this looks like the heating element. And so we know that we're not supposed to drink it. This says no hot water. Be careful of scald. Stay away from open fire. And can we read that? It says closed, disabled. So I don't know what that means. And you're not allowed to eat this. So this packet, under no circumstances are you allowed to eat. So now they have in English, which up until this point we've not seen any English. So it says, self-heating foods are forbidden to be eaten or beaten, in their words, in confined spaces. Pay attention to ventilation during consumption. So in other words, you must breathe while you eat, such as trains, buses, tents, and other closed or semi-closed spaces. Eat self-heating foods. Please keep away. Now it's interesting, they put a K, and then if you look really close, no, they don't. They just stop it. Keep away from water source to accord secondary heat. So once you put this in water, don't put it in another water source because it'll heat that up as well. And do not use if it is damaged or contaminated. But this package looks really tight and sealed. So, and it says, please do not touch the heat with wet hands. So we'll make sure of that. And pay attention to high temperature scald when heating. Do not open non-woven cloth of the heating bag. So that's important. We're not going to open. See this white cloth? which just based on what we're looking at looks like not a cotton, but a paper weave that is, look, we have chicken. Oh wait, no, that's just the cat trying to get in the video. So we're not supposed to open that. And if the contents of the heating accidentally enter the eyes, which I pray that doesn't, or eat. So if my eyes eat this stuff, please rinse immediately with water. So let's make sure my eyes don't get hungry and try to eat. But we can also induce vomiting. There's many ways to do that. The finger works best. And do not let minors use this alone. So for all of you with small children under the age, I would going to say 8. They might try to eat the hot bag. I don't know. So there we go. And what we're going to do now, let's get this to the tray. Nice. Here we go. So we have the noodles. And if we take a look, the instructions say put in the noodles into the spice packets. But if you read this, it says hinga 정gon동ik hongneg dong kandong ak. And so that means just put all these packets in. So we're going to put those all in. So we're going to do that right now. And I have to open up. So my apologies. I don't know where the scissors are. There we go. So they show the white plastic, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to cut open the noodles. They smell a little bit grainy, but they smell fresh, and it's kind of hard. It almost has a celery scent, but let's put those in there. The noodles are in. Tuck those noodles in. Now, let's go with the flavor pack. I can open up right here. Ooh, this is more liquid. I was expecting a powder. Let's see that. So this must be the vegetable pack. Look at that, fresh vegetables. I did not expect that. I thought they would be dried, freeze-dried at the minimum, but these look like they are just vacuum packed. So let's get those out and into the meal. Just a little bit on my finger. Ooh, very salty, briny almost, like a sea salt. Very interesting. All right. Now we'll go to this. I'm going to have to cut this off. We'll pour that. So if you take a look, there seems to be some kind of beans in there. So I'm going to assume either they're peanuts. They almost look like peanuts. But we'll pour those over. And, nope, they feel dried. So they probably are a bean. Then, it already smells awesome. This smells like traditional Asian food. So I'm going to say that right now. And then we're going to open this packet. Oop, it's leaking out. Ah! That came out. I'm not used to liquids in a bag. And so that went in. But since we spilled some, let's take a taste and see what that is. Ooh, that's sweet and savory. Look at how much we spilled. Oh my goodness. That's probably the whole flavor packet, and it's laying there on the counter. So, now a trick that I always have is you take a paper towel and you soap that up and put it in there. And then when you pour the water in and let the water boil it, you can pull the paper towel out. And your flavor will be lost. Nice. So we sop that up. And just to get that flavor, there's a lot of flavor out there. So I'm just going to sop that up. I have no intentions of eating it, but I'm going to place it in there. When the hot water comes in, perhaps that will absorb into the food. So now we have this packet. And I can tell this is oil. Just look at that. That's very viscous. So let's cut that open. And I have a feeling this is a peppered. But so far, everything I've tasted has not been hot. And I see spikes in there. So definitely an oil and definitely has a spice in it. So this is a very spicy oil. I'm going to put that in there and see how this is not coming out. So I will try to squeeze that out and get as much into it. But another trick of the trade I've learned is just put a little bit of warm water in there, and we'll get that swished around and pour that warm water in there. Here's where we're at. We put some hot water in there, pretty much boiling, and it's really hurting my fingers. So let's pour that in. All right. We didn't get it all, and now I'm going to debate if I should take that in. You know what? For this presentation, I'm just going to leave it out. So now that we've put all those things in there, if we go back to our package, if you look in and tighten right in, down here, it says 360 milliliters, and I'm going to assume that blue is the water. Now, normally about 500 milliliters is 2 cups. So at 360, we're going to put it in, but here's what I've done previously. I put in some water here. This is 2 cups of water. So this is about 480, and they said 360. So what we're going to do is, I've noticed in here they have a line of embarkation. I'm going to fill the water up to that line and just see if that is what's going to be the appropriate level to make this a good meal. And when I look at what's left here, that seems just about right. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to set that off to the side. And then, according to the instructions, we're supposed to fill the bottom layer, if you look here, with water. If you look at this red bowl, there's a line here in there. Can you see that ridge? So we're going to put water up to that level. So let's say we'll start with the 2 cups. What's left of that, and that almost puts us there. But I'm going to add just a little bit more because I'm always paranoid. It probably would work. So here we are. Now we're at the most magical moment of all of this. We have this. So we're going to tear open this bag. Let's hold it for a second. And nothing's happening. I don't feel it warming up or anything. So we're just going to set that in the water and let that soak up a second. I'm going to feel it. Nothing's happening. So have I been hoodwinked? I do not know. So we're going to give that a minute, but they say to place this in over the top of that. That baby is making some cooking. So, whoa, look at that. The steam is coming up. That's super awesome. That took like what, people? 4, maybe 7 seconds for that baby to start cooking. All we had to do was cut out the oxygen. So now we're going to make it even boil better by covering that up. Now, if we go back to the instructions, here they say once we've done that and we put that piece in and they see it steaming, they have a number in 15 in there. So if you read Chinese at all, you'll say, listen to Todd, because he's going to say, put that in there for 15, and then that little thing behind that means minutes. And so we're going to let that sit there for 15 minutes. We'll see you in a couple. We've been about 15 minutes, and actually it's been about 18 because I was making an imbibe situation. So this is my dinner drink. But here we at, and here's the thing that's very interesting. This has been cooking. You've heard at the beginning the boiling. It has not ceased, but it's starting to slow down now. But as I touch it, it's very hot. So before I open this up and see what's going on, I went and got a handy thermometer, and I'm going to put it in. And if you watch, I'm just going to slide it in at the top. So pay attention. We're at the top of the plastic here. I haven't gone into the liquid, anything. And it's reading 175 degrees. Now that's pretty good to cook a soup noodle at. So we'll see how fast it drops. So we're good to go. So I'm going to say that's good. So we have our chopsticks, but let's look at those first. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to say they're bamboo, and they are. And, you know, when I was a child, I was always taught to roll your chopsticks and to look for filaments, because that means they weren't done smooth. But you know what? They're pretty smooth. So I think the Chinese know that they don't want people getting slivers in their mouth. So we'll put those down. And we're going to open this. And it's hard because that hole creates some steam. And here we go. We're going to open it up. And look at that. And so I'm going to take the chopsticks. And as we go through, oh, look at that. The noodles look absolutely gorgeous. They look soft, almost overcooked. And the vegetables are there. This looks like a real meal, but I don't see any protein. So we're just going to assume this is a vegetable. And I don't know if it has a meat flavor, but we'll find out when we get to test it. But I'm mixing it right now just to make sure that everything gets mixed up. And it looks very good. Now, there's one part that they didn't tell us in the instructions is how am I going to get, oh, what's this? Look at that. Oh, that's my paper towel. At first I thought I had to eat that, but thank goodness that's just a paper towel. So I'm gonna put that over here and not eat that. So, but I know I got my food out of it. So, but it looks good. All right. So I'm going to try being genius and say I'm going to use one of these chopsticks to lift this up and then work my way around and lift up the rest. Ooh, it's very warm. Let's set that down there. Now look at that. That thing is all puffy. And if you look, I'm going to, whoop, it's solid. Oh my goodness. And all the water's almost gone. So I don't know if I put it in because they said it lasts about 4 to 5 hours. That was the other Chinese that I can't translate right now because my is very, very, what do you want to call it? It's in a region of China that no one really understands except a very few people. But there was a girl, her name was Shen, and she taught me this. So I'm going to put this in the water to see if this boils this water, because it seems like water and lack of oxygen. And if you focus in on this, you will see I could probably make a cup of tea with that, but I don't think I'm going to. So that's where we're at. So now we have this soup, we have these, and I don't know if I want to eat this right away. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cool down for a minute, and then what I'm going to do is get some regular human spoons because it really looks bad to try to eat soup with the chopsticks. And then I'm going to have the people that help me in this production sample it, and then we'll get their immediate responses on camera. We've done the soup according to the instructions as best as my Chinese translation will allow. And the smells very earthy, and I can't quite describe the flavors. Now there seems to be a green herb in here, and I'm going to assume it's seaweed, but I can't tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull a little bit of broth up, and you can tell very oily. But so I'm going to pull a little bit up, and then I'm going to sip it. And I hope it's not too hot because it'll be very embarrassing. So here we go. The spice is immediate. That is pretty cool. But it's not bad spice. And there really is no flavor other than spice and a deep vegetable broth. So it's very salty, very gardeny, but I don't know what I would call the spice. So I'm just going to get a little bean in there. So I mean, look, it almost kind of looks like a pinto bean. So we'll see what that is. Now the bean definitely is a pinto bean, and it actually is very soft. Now when you saw me in the previous part, it was very hard, but it came up very good, and I like it, and so that's really good. I might even try another. There's nothing that beats a spicy bean, I'm telling you. So I really like that. It's very enjoyable. Now here, let me get this flavor. I'm going to try the vegetable that was in there, and I don't know what that is, and maybe it's the black fungus that is so popular in Asian stores. And so, kind of like not necessarily mushroom, but you look at it and it always comes in stripes. So maybe that's what that is. No, definitely vegetable in texture. So I like that. And that's good, but I can't tell you what vegetable it is. I do not have the expertise of the tongue. So now we're going to go into the heart of this whole meal is the noodle. Now that noodle came across, and as I told you, it smelled a little bit celery-like, but it still tasted fresh and herby. Now we know this is a wheat noodle, and so you people that have gluten intolerance, you probably should enjoy this, which by the way, the broth is really good. But I'm going to try these noodles and just see if there's anything to it. Well, I went a little too fast. It's very hot. But what I will tell you is that these noodles are pasty. It's almost like eating, if you go back to the time of kindergarten, and if you ever ate the paste they had for glue, it's a wheat paste. And it's really refreshing to have with this spicy, sort of herby. And I'm disappointed that they didn't put more beans in it. If they had like 8 more beans, would have been really good. But they only put like 16 beans in it. So we call this a 16-bean soup. And it's a 2-person meal. And I find it very hard to split the beans. So, but the noodles are good and they're pasty. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to let my colleagues have a try.
These are very soggy noodles.
What's your honest impression?
I wouldn't buy it.
No? No, but tell
It's
me
not
why.
bad, but
Huh?
it's not good.
Did you get a bean?
No. Well, what do you think on the flavor? It's not like Dirk's underwear, is it?
It's got something weird going on.
After we've all tasted this, and I do enjoy it. Now, other people think the noodles were overcooked, and I would agree. We cooked this meal longer than what it said. But one thing I did think, if you had like a canned fish, like an eel or sardines or something to add into this, this would just, it would put it over the top, I think. And the other thing that I personally would try is a little bit of Spam. Now, you can do the different variations of Spam. For me, in this soup, I would do the hot and spicy. That would actually put it, see now look, I got a different vegetable in there. And it looks like maybe a piece of celery, maybe a bok choy and the bean. So it's a very rich and colorful soup. So let's see. Well, it just came out as mush, so I don't know. But the oil, when you put in the soup, you can taste it throughout the entire soup. But it gives it an oily texture. So I'm just gonna sign off that, and I said, if you're in the woods and sick of eating canned, like Dinty Moore beef stew or something, or trying to come up with something, but this actually provides a change of texture, a change of taste, a change of flavor, a change of spice. This to me would be like the perfect night meal. Like if it's 35 degrees outside and you're hot or cold, you know what I mean? This soup would spice you up. So thanks for watching, and next time.